You know you're the world's best kept secret that just needs your moment to shine. You're working with your clients behind the scenes, one on one, small group, and you are making an impact because they're telling you, you know this. They're raving about the results they're getting and how you're making their life so much better and running this business and getting results for them. But they're the only ones who know that. And you, at your core, you know that there's a much larger scale for you to make an impact. There's a much bigger field that you're meant to play on. But you find yourself getting overwhelmed and creating content consistently, getting more visible, making sure that you are doing all the things to get the program launched so you can build your community, make more income, and have a greater impact. I get it. Spinning on that hamster wheel is a place that many of us have gotten stuck in the journey of building out this business and fulfilling our purpose and making the impact that we're created to make. But today, I'm going to tell you about 5 elements that I've learned that have really made the difference in syncing it all together so that you really do step out and start thinking big and playing big in everything that you do. And we're going to dive into those right now. Hey crew, welcome to Vasti TV, where we own our story, ignite our business, and live our legacy now. And today we are diving into the realities of what it takes to stop playing it small and really step out there and play on the big field that you know you're supposed to play on. You know your impact is supposed to be greater, your income should be more so that you can actually do more to create change, and your influence needs to be heard. So we want to make sure that you are in a position to not just play behind the scenes with one-on-one clients or small group settings where you're only getting a few clients into your program, but where you're making the moves to shift into you being able to make the impact that you are created for. And that starts with really putting yourself out there. I know, kind of crazy, right? No, you get it. You've been trying to do that. You've been trying to get more visible. You've been trying to create the content, but it gets overwhelming. And you find yourself really wondering, am I supposed to do this? Is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Let me help you. Yes, you're supposed to be doing this, but you got to keep learning. You got to keep growing in order to actually get there. And I went through that season. I remember it vividly of spinning on that hamster wheel, trying to figure out how do I really get out there and just get myself to do it? How do I start attracting the people that are supposed to run this race with me? And although creating content, launching programs, building a brand, essential pieces, there were some key elements that had to be worked through in order for me to really make the shift and get in sync with what was going to propel my trajectory to do the work that I know I'm created to do. And those elements today, we're going to dive into a little bit deeper. So I'm going to kick us off and we're just going to go straight to it because I need you to get this. I need you to understand what it takes beyond just all the doing, which is very much our nature. When you grew up and you learned that life meant you get a job and you learn to do your work. And you've been trying to do the work. And I commend you for that. Kudos, like you're amazing. Thanks for jumping out here. But it's gonna take more than just doing the work. As far as I'm going to create a post, I'm going to write a blog, I'm going to make sure that I do a video, all those things that give you all those like icky feelings on the inside because you're putting yourself out in front of the world. It's going to take a little bit more than that. And I want you to work through those things. So I'm going to give you those practical steps today so that we can dive in and have you really start doing the work, because the reality is now more than ever, we need you, people just like you, to step up to the plate, to be in a position of influence, to have the income to shift and shake things in ways that will move our world into a direction that we all know it desperately needs. And so we're wasting no more time with making sure that you stop playing it small and get into the big leagues. Get into the arena where your voice has the power that you know it needs to have to be able to lead others, to champion them into the proper positions for their giftings, so that we can create a world that is a safe space for each and every one of us to step out into our gifts and to our grace and do what it is we're meant to do to gain the kind of culture that we want to actually live in. So as I dive into these 5 elements, I don't want you to just sit here and just say, okay, that sounds good. No. I need you to get to work. So I need you to get your pen, get your paper, and take notes, because there's work to be done. Because if you don't have the level of followers, if you don't have the magnitude of income that you want, if you don't have that place of influence in your industry as the expert, then there's work to be done. And as much as I can give you that work, I'm going to give it to you, because you're meant to do incredible things in this life, nothing less. And so we are going to dive into these 5 pieces so that you can really begin to create that bridge from where you are to where you really want to be, because that's the place that matters, right? So here we go. You're sharing your greatness with your current clients, bartering with your peers, and they are raving about the impact you're making in their life, how they're seeing results in their business, how what you do is something special. And I don't mean just a pat on the back, good job, thank you so much. I mean like brand ambassador level raving reviews. People who would be more than happy to actually go and tell their friends about you. And as much as that makes you feel like you are doing it, at your core, you know that there is a bigger arena for you to play in, that there is more for you to do, and there are way more people that you are meant to reach. And I'm going to dive into what it takes to shift from just the typical that you hear of grow your YouTube channel, grow your Instagram, create more value-packed content, post every day, make sure that you're doing video, launch that program, how to not get stuck in perfect when practical will do. All those things are definitely elements of building a credible, sustainable, profitable business. You need them. Anyone that tells you otherwise, it's nonsense. You need all those things. And as a solopreneur, you end up having to learn how to do all of them yourself. And that can be quite a task, especially when you still have a family you're leading. You're trying to make sure your bills stay paid. You're trying to make sure you don't end up in the hospital because you're not taking care of your health. You're not eating right. You want to make sure that you're still walking your walk out in faith and that nothing's taking priority over that. All these different moving pieces can have you in a space where you continue to spin on the hamster wheel, playing it small. And today, it's time for all of that to stop. Listen, getting out here, jumping into entrepreneurship, and taking the leap to launch a program to start serving strangers that you don't even know, it's huge. That is big. Like, that is not the everyday feat that we're used to in the most part, right? But you did it, and you're still doing it, and you're still trying to figure out, how do I get beyond this level? What does it really take? And you're listening to all the gurus. They're telling you, you got to grow your email list. You need to figure out the Instagram algorithm. You got to make sure you have a program that you can send them to. You need to make sure that you're actually serving people and have a heart for people. All these different things. While on the other side, it's like, make sure you're managing your money well. Make sure that your family is eating, you're taking care of them and being present with them. Your husband or wife has the things that they need your help with. Then you're trying to be involved in the community because that needs you now more than ever. All the different pieces. Again, life, business, seems like two separate worlds and they're both pulling at you. And you're just trying to figure out what are all the right things I need to be doing to make sure that I really get to the level of impact, income, and influence that I know I'm really destined to be at. And today I'm pulling back the covers. That's right. I'm pulling back the covers beyond just all of the things that you need to do in business, the things that you need to do at home to really deal with how do I make sure that I'm building a brand that's going to get me shifted to the next arena so that I begin to play in the leagues that I was always meant for. Even if the idea of doing that makes me crazy uncomfortable and I'm just not like all warm and fuzzy about that, but you're going to do it because it's your purpose. You know it's what you're supposed to be doing in this world. You know that that's what this life is about for you. And I want to make sure that you are really tapping into what are those elements that need to be in place that you may not hear about a lot, that you didn't know it was that big of a deal, or that you just didn't know what you didn't know, so that you can actually shift into being in sync with moving yourself into the spaces and places to play in the arena that you were always meant to play in. I can't wait for you to get this down. And listen, this is not just a let me sit and get inspirational feel good. No. I need you taking notes and I need you ready to do the work, because we need you in positions in this world to be an influence that creates change, that creates a space where all can show up and do what it is that they're created to do without hesitation. So get your pen, get your paper, and let's get to work. Element number one is your sweet spot. And what I mean by your sweet spot is really tapping into the core of what you're really created to do in this world. When you tap into that, you get real clarity about your message, your signature method, and how you are supposed to show up in this world. See, oftentimes we jump in and we get so caught up in the world of trying to figure out marketing and figure out sales, but none of it seems to quite be gelling together because we haven't gone behind the scenes and really figured out what is my sweet spot. Because when you hit your sweet spot where you are tapping into doing what you're created for and you marry that with the right business education systems and framework, then you begin to attract the people who are meant to run this race with you. You begin to attract clients who are willing to invest because they see that you are the solution to what they need. And the beauty of being in your sweet spot is that it's not hard work. It's just who you are. And you are now putting that on display. You are moving past every fear, every doubt, and walking in courage to say, here's who I am. And here's the solution that I am for in this world, in this generation, in this time. Oftentimes we think if I just figure out my niche in business, then I'll get it. I'll hit that run and I'll be able to go. And there are elements of truth to that. But in order to figure out your niche in business, you got to get to the sweet spot of who you are as a person. Because when you step into who you are as a person, you no longer compromise. You can more readily make decisions and identify what is for you, what's meant to be a part of your journey, and what is not. When you can tap into the essence of what you're meant to do in this world and what that looks like, writing a blog post gets a whole lot easier. Creating caption on that Instagram picture gets a whole lot easier. Being authentic and showing up as an authority becomes a whole lot easier. But that means that you have to go from in front of what the world thinks and into yourself, and really let's pull out what exactly are you uniquely crafted to do in this world. Because when you tap into that, it starts to change every domain of your life. It begins to impact how you handle your money. It begins to impact how you engage with your family and how you show up for them. It impacts your faith and how you walk that out. The relationships within your community and people you work with take on a different nature. How you steward your health begins to shift. When you really hit the sweet spot of knowing exactly what you are created to do, then this business thing gets a whole lot easier. And you understand that it's only a matter of time before you hit that next level and play in that arena that you were always meant to play in anyway. And getting there to that place means you being exactly who you're meant to be and show up in this world as. But the longer that we choose not to figure out exactly who I am, what I'm meant to do, what I'm supposed to be like when I show up in this world, and not what everyone else is pouring in that I should be like, that I should do, then you get to operate from a place of not spinning on this hamster wheel and wondering when are you going to get to the next arena, not trying to post on social media every day and wonder, is anybody ever going to catch on and see how great I am? You don't have to play in that small arena when you really understand who you are and exactly what you're created to do. Because the messaging will come, the method will unfold, and the magnitude of impact that you're created to have in this world will begin to take form. But you have to make sure that you're getting to, who am I? What am I created to do in this world? And whatever that is, it's something that only you can do your way. And that's what the world needs. That's what your clients need. That's what that launch needs. That's what your content strategy needs. That sweet spot for you to operate from and do what it is you're created to do. So that's aspect number one of it. I know you're like, whoa, that's big. Listen, it's the big work that you think is big that has to be done if you're really going to start playing big. So there's work to be done, but that's only the beginning. So let's dive into this next aspect of what it's going to take for you to really stop playing it small. Element number 2 is to have a strategic approach. Oftentimes we dive out into this world of trying to figure out marketing, selling, attracting clients, and we are doing all the things that we're hearing from those who have been successful in doing it just to do the task to get it done, thinking that will get us results. But you are going to need to pull back and take a very strategic approach to your marketing, a strategic approach to your sales, a strategic approach to your message and how you get it out there. Now, oftentimes this part likes to be skipped because we want it fast, we want it quick. And if you know anything about me, you know I am not here for the get rich quick scheme to have a fast break to the top, because too much character building is missed out when it happens that way. We need something that is going to sustain, that is really going to make sure that as you go up, you can continue to sustain being up to whatever it is that you end up hitting. And strategy is the only way that you are really going to see results come from the investment that you are making in all of your marketing efforts, putting out all of your content, trying to get more visible by being on podcasts or shows or collaborating. All of those efforts require strategy. And you will need to take the time to really pull back and say, hey, what is that end goal I'm trying to get to? And then how do I strategically get to that goal so that everything that I'm doing is all streamlined together to get you to that end? Strategy is key in how you approach marketing, sales, client attraction, content, all those different elements that make life work in the business realm. Now, that strategy also is vital because it is key to you actually being able to shift out of this place of playing it small and actually have plans in place that will lead to you getting in that big arena. So you have to have a strategic approach to the many avenues that are necessary in a business. Now, once you have that strategic approach in place, oh my gosh, this one, I really need you to understand this one. I need you to become selective. I need you to become selective about all of the voices that you are listening to. Now, I know that your heart is to learn the things that you need to learn so that you can really be successful in building this business, in changing people's lives, in doing what it is that you were created to do. I get that. But I really need you to understand that to build and build well, that does not happen in a bunch of noise. It doesn't. You have to be able to drown out the voices. And it's not because the voices are bad. They're just voices that are not meant for you to be tuned into. So it is vitally important that we tune out all of the excess and get laser focused in on the voices that are really bringing you the solution that you need that matches with who you are. Because here's reality. When you're listening to too many voices that have all achieved what you might think to be the pinnacle of success, you find yourself subconsciously mimicking what they're doing instead of creating your own ways to do it. You are not meant to be a clone. That is not a part of your wire. Element 3, I really need you to get this. Like, I need you to understand this because this will make a difference in your ability to create your strategic approach to make sure you remain in your sweet spot and get on the trajectory to play big. And that is, I need you to get selective. Selective about the voices that you are listening to. Too often we are listening to 19 different voices that are telling us the best way to be successful in building our list and getting visible and getting our marketing plan together, or how to make sure our branding is all synchronized. And all of those voices, if you're honest with yourself, lead you to a place of overwhelm. Where you're trying to do it, you're trying to finish, but you start this worksheet and don't finish it. You start that course and you don't finish it. Not because you don't desire to, not because you're not able to finish it, but because something else caught your attention as something that may be more effective, as something that I could probably actually do it this way better. And let me tell you, that is a forever rolling hamster wheel. That if you don't get selective about the voices that you are listening to for what you need at the time that you need it, you will continue to spin on cycles. Another aspect of that is that, unfortunately, when that happens and you're listening to so many voices and you really start cluing in and buying into communities, you can start to mimic the voices that you're seeing. And let me be clear, you are not created to be a clone. So what you're seeing, you're not going to find anything that looks like exactly what you want because the world is waiting for you to produce it. You have to be able to take the principles out of what you're getting from that particular guru and put it into your practices. But when you are listening to 19 different voices, that becomes really difficult because some of the things they're saying is the same. And then some of the things they're saying is like distinctive, like, well, only this person says that, and well, this person says it this way. And if you noticed, it's worked for them. That's because they've taken the principles and filtered their practices through those principles, so their practices being the way that they are created to do it. And you have to do the same thing. So you need to become selective. If your focus right now is building your list, then you need to become selective about who you're listening to about building your list. If your focus right now is to get more sales, then you need to get selective about who you're listening to get more sales. And really tune in and flow with them. Follow the process and walk it through before you jump ship because it's not happening fast enough or it doesn't feel quite right. If it doesn't make you uncomfortable, then it's not going to get you out of playing small. So you got to silence the noise that's going through your ear gate. Not one that's often talked about because everybody's trying to get their message out there. But when you're a solopreneur and you're trying to hit that real growth, to stop playing it small, you have to get strategic even in your approach about who you're listening to and what you're investing in. That becomes an absolute must. Because when you truly get selective and start listening to those voices that really resonate with you and their style resonates with you for how they teach, and you can separate the principle from their practice so that you implement the principle, then you put yourself in the position to develop a business and a brand message that is going to attract the people that you really desire. That's going to have you operating in your zone of genius, making impact and creating a change that people need in their lives. You have to become selective in how you are pulling out information from the people you are listening to and all those elements to make sure you're hitting your goals. Now, as you become more selective and you really start anchoring down to say, I'm going to stick with this person because they really got it, like their system really works. I've seen it time and time again. Let me walk with them and see how they did this so that I can really get my system in place. Once you do that and you really start pushing through to get the work done, that's when Doubtful Dan and Negative Nancy show up. It happens every time. And that's when we have to deal with element 4. And that's your self-talk. See, you hear a lot about mindset and what kind of mindset you have and how much mindset plays such a vital role in what you're doing. And it's real. I have it as a core element of my brand because of that, because it's so real. But it starts with the self-talk that you're having with yourself. And I only say it starts there because awareness is the first step to being able to completely change something in your life and about how you operate. So you have to become aware of your self-talk. Doubtful Dan and Negative Nancy are like the little voice on your left shoulder and your right shoulder that's trying to remind you as you go forth and doing this that you've never done this before. Are you sure that's really right? But what if it doesn't work the way you think it does? I mean, can someone like you who's never done anything like this before really make this happen? Yeah. Sound familiar? I get it. You have to really become aware of those thoughts and deal with them. See, if we don't deal with that self-talk, we find ourselves listening to those voices that sound very logical because the truth is you've never done this before. The truth is you're figuring this out as you go. So because it has a slice of truth to it, you begin to entertain it and really think through that train of thought that completely takes you off course. And then next thing you know, that launch that was supposed to happen in 3-4 weeks, oh, now you're planning for the next 3 or 4 weeks because now you need to redo some things. Or that post you were going to write, you decide no, because I just can't get my thoughts together, so I'm just not even going to do it at all. Wherever you find yourself when you're really plugging in to do the work and you are not getting that traction, you're not moving forward, you still find yourself playing it small with your same clients, talking about how great you are, and maybe one of their new friends that they sent your way. You have to become aware of how you are talking to yourself so that you can begin to deal with your mindset, so that you can begin to really cultivate what it means to have a mindset that'll take you into that winner's arena. Winning where you are living life by your definition, where success is coming on your terms, where life is looking like what you know it is meant to be for you in the fullness of it. So you got to kick Doubtful Dan out. You got to tell Negative Nancy she can't sit on your couch anymore. And you have to start shifting and changing the screenplay that's happening inside your mind, because it's hindering you from hitting the heights of success and impact that you are created to have. Now that you have these pieces, these elements that you understand that are so much more than just the practical things to do in the business side, but like, no, the real core things that need to happen if you're going to stop playing it small, it's time for you to get to work. It is time for you to get to work so that you can actually get out of this behind the scenes, my current clients know I'm great world, and into the front and center where you create a community who knows that you're great world. You are meant to be on a level playing field where you are knocking balls out the park, serving the people who need your unique gifts. But you got to do the work to get to that space. So go back, listen again, take notes, really sit in this and get the work done so that you can actually build a business, the brand and messaging that will free your life to be able to make a greater impact and influence in this world. You are incredible, and I can't wait to see you next week. Ciao.